This is Las Vegas Vantage with your host, Rocky Dickerson.
Hi, I'm Rocky Dickerson from Realty One Group. Welcome to Las Vegas Vantage. Here we're going to talk about not just things about the real estate in Las Vegas. We're going to talk about, more importantly, the community of Las Vegas. What makes this a great place to live, and who are the people that make it a great place to live? Now, today, we've got a very special guest with us. We have Sandy Goldfarb from Refuge for Women. Sandy, how are you doing today?
I'm great. Thanks for having me, Rocky.
You bet. So, Sandy, I know you guys do fantastic work. I've actually helped with a couple of fundraisers. Can you explain to the people that are watching today a little bit about who Refuge for Women is and what you do?
Sure. Refuge for Women is a nonprofit organization that is national with 6 locations, and our focus is on helping women who have been sexually trafficked or exploited in the sex industry. We have 2 homes in the Las Vegas area. We have a long-term program house, which provides a safe place for women to heal and just basically rest, seek refuge, and overcome the trauma that they've endured. This is all at no cost to the resident, and they get weekly counseling. They have processing with the director. We have volunteers that come in and teach them class. They go to addiction recovery groups like Celebrate Recovery. They go to church. Volunteers come in and do just different classes with them. Some classes are understanding safe people and finding safe people, setting boundaries. There's scriptural-based classes as well, just learning about the Bible and Jesus's love and what type of forgiveness and love he has for you to overcome the trauma that you've endured.
Great. So there's a lot of great work that's being done. And I know that personally, from a personal story, when I first moved to Las Vegas, one of the very first friends I made was when I was teaching a seminar over at the MGM Grand. And in the breaks, this woman would come up to me and ask me questions about the material. And at the end, she said, "Hey, can I get together with you and learn a little bit more?" But I could sense that something was off. And she says, "Well, you probably don't want to hang around with me because I just left the sex trafficking industry about 3 months ago."
Oh,
and
wow.
So in her mind, having been there in the past meant that no one would want to be her friend in the present. So I'm assuming that kind of trauma is something you see on a fairly regular basis?
Yes. So a lot of times, this is a group of women that get overlooked by the population. You know, they're the metro, when they see women being trafficked on the street or wherever, they say, okay, what can I do for them? I can't really, they don't belong in jail, you know, because they're a victim, but many women don't want to go to a homeless shelter because they're not homeless. You know, a domestic violence shelter, you know, they might have experienced domestic violence, but that's not really the trauma or the only trauma that they're trying to recover from. You know, it's complex trauma. And a lot of the women that have been trafficked, they are targets. You know, they are victims of being groomed, and, you know, wise traffickers say, hey, this is a woman that is going to be susceptible. So we're going to befriend her and show her love. And when that love turns to trafficking, that's really a difficult mental trauma bond to overcome. We have a stat that says that 92% of women would leave the industry if they had a safe place to stay, if they could make a living, if they could get health care, but they see that this is their only option because of that shame that comes with that, and that grooming and trauma bond from their trafficker.
Sure. I know that trauma can be a huge part of it. And the reason I know this is because the woman that I mentioned, that she became my friend, she later went to write a New York Times bestseller all about her experience. And some of the things that I read in there were just horrific. Mm-hmm. So I can imagine that's part of the need for having such a long-term program to be able to help to get them back on track. Would that be correct?
Absolutely. So, you know, we had one resident come in and I was talking to her and she shared with me, you know, being trafficked means that You might have a place to sleep, but you don't get hot water that day. You know, you might have food, but you're not getting underwear, you know, and it's these little mental abuse, big mental abuse, not little, but the mental abuse to keep that woman reliant and just feeling terrible about herself is so complex and so difficult for anyone to understand. Someone once said to me, well, why don't they just get up and leave? That's what I would do. And, you know, I like to say, well, of course, because you haven't been traumatized night after night. You know, we focus the first 6 months of our program on strictly healing for the woman. Just take time to unpack all your trauma. And I mean, not that it could be done in 6 months, but we just want them to feel safe and be loved upon so that, you know, we can pour into them Christ's love and pour into them just that they're safe, that they're worth it, that they're amazing people, amazing women made in Christ's image, and that, you know, we care about them and they can overcome and a life of freedom is there for them. So that's what we try to do, but it is difficult because trauma bond, and it really is difficult for them to understand that they have been trafficked to such a degree. So it doesn't make sense for us why they don't leave, but it really makes sense when you've been reliant and abused for years.
Well, sure. And that's the thing about PTSD is it leaves behind things that, you know, it doesn't make sense. And yet really inside the mind, it does have a link. It does make sense.
Right. And we have every single woman that have come through our house has had PTSD. So the triggers that come along with that. And that's something, so our program is 12 months. We also offer a transitional house and a transitional care program, because while they're working and they're using these tools to overcome trauma, to recognize triggers, to learn what a safe relationship is and putting healthy boundaries in place, that's great inside our program house. But then you get into the real world, and what does that look like? You know, we help them with career management and finding a career or going back to school or getting their GED. But what happens when we're at the bus stop and someone's smoking weed and that's a trigger for them, or a man looks at them in a certain way, or they pass a bar? All these different things that are triggers, we help them recognize that. And so our transitional care program offers 12 months of housing again, if that graduate wants to live in that house. And if they choose to live elsewhere, we still offer case management services where we go over safety plans, where we help them apply for college or seek volunteer work and seek employment. And just continue to walk with them, and we'll walk for them as long as they'll let us, because it's a long road. It never, they have a life of healing, but we make sure that they have a good group and a good community. I like to call it their tribe, so that when they're having a hard day, they just don't have one person to call or two people to call, but they have numerous people that care about them, that will walk with them as long as they'll let us.
Sure, that support is a vital part of any type of recovery. Now, you mentioned volunteers. I take it that your organization is looking for volunteers to help out?
Yes, we are always looking for volunteers. We really are looking for people to help us raise awareness, to attend events, and just share information about what does trafficking look like? What are the signs? January is Human Trafficking Awareness Month. So we always have a big push to go out to restaurants and bars, casinos, and put up flyers and pass out information. We have little touch cards and bookmarks so that people recognize that. We're also looking for volunteers to help us with our fundraising events. We look for volunteers inside our house. There's a lot of training to go through, but we're looking for people just to sit and love on the women and sit in the house with us while they're doing their work and help out our program. The exciting news is that we are having we just closed on the property for our emergency house, which is a much needed portion of our continuum of care. So we have the program house and we have that transitional house after they graduate the program, but we really need to meet women where they're at on the street. And so this will be a place that if an officer or if a woman in crisis wants to go somewhere, or even a casino sees a woman that's being trafficked, there's a place that understands the complex trauma that they're enduring, and they can come to our emergency house and stay for up to 90 days and seek safety and stability. They can help formulate a plan with our case managers and advocates to find a better way of life and successfully exit, not just, think, oh, well, I'm just going to try to quit doing this and quit doing drugs and hope for the best, but we'll empower them to make good choices and to help them with the choices they make.
Sure. And I got to say, because I've known a number of the ladies that have gone through your program, they go on to lead productive, successful lives. How many graduates have you got from your program so far here in Las Vegas?
I think we have 65 or 68. I should know that fact. But yeah. So, and that doesn't sound, we opened our doors in 2015. And some people say, well, that's been a long time. But we have 6 beds in our program house. And they stay with us for a year. Some of them leave early and some of them don't complete, but that's okay. We've been able to love them for as long as they have. And some people aren't ready. It's very difficult. Some women will go back to their trafficker 7 times before they can successfully exit. So we're just grateful for the opportunity to love them for the amount of time that we were here, or they were here. But, trauma that they've endured, they need a year. I mean, I'd love to give them 3 years just to focus on themselves and heal. But a year is what we can give.
Sure. So obviously, Refuge for Women does great work. Now, you're new to being in charge of the Las Vegas chapter here, correct?
Yes, I am. I'm the interim executive director. Yes.
Great. And now, if I recall correctly, you moved to Vegas about 4 years ago, 2018?
Yes. Yep.
Fantastic. So tell me something, as a member of our Las Vegas community, what's your favorite Las Vegas restaurant and why?
I would say, I never say the name right, so I hope no one's trying to look it up, but it's called Natia's or Nadia's. I call it Nadia's. I mispronounce everything. Secret Kitchen over in Summerlin. It's a Thai restaurant. It has a great lunch deal, but the food is amazing. Lots of small plates, and it's absolutely delicious. The best Thai in the world. I love it.
Nice. So how about your favorite Las Vegas activity? What do you enjoy doing here?
Definitely hiking. I think the amount of hiking and the numerous places that you can go to shocked me. I mean, there's obviously Red Rock, but there's, a lot of hiking in Boulder City and Mount Charleston. There's just so much nearby. And then, if you get in your car and drive a few hours, Utah is really close, Arizona. So I love that there's so much so close to Vegas.
Fantastic. Well, Sandy, we certainly appreciate you being here with us today. And so please, if someone wants to contact Refuge for Women and volunteer or to donate, how should they contact you?
You can go to our website, refugeforwomen.org, and choose location, Las Vegas. You can also send an email to lasvegas@refugeforwomen.org, and we can help you out with volunteer work or donations or whatever.
Fantastic. Well, Sandy, thanks so much for being on Las Vegas Vantage today. And again, thank you for watching. For those of you that aren't familiar, this is a new podcast. We are going to be talking about real estate from time to time, but more importantly, we're going to be talking about the community of Las Vegas. So please subscribe to the podcast here. And should there be a time that you need to sell or buy a home, please give me a call. Rocky Dickerson at 702-743-7625 or email Rocky@RockySellsVegas.com.
Thank you, Rocky.